Hey everybody, it's Sarah and I'm back with another spinning video. This one was a request to show how I wind on and build a cop for a support spindle. There are many different ways of doing it. You can have it all at the bottom next to the whorl. You can do a football shape, which is what I do for these types of spindles. You can do a crisscross, where you actually, wind down and then wind back up in big X's, and that's a good way of stabilizing the cup. But here is what I do most of the time. I find a good resting spot for my spindle, which is usually my belly. It gives me a really good angle to see exactly how my cop is building, and once I use a temporary cop, and I will spin my singles and put the temporary cop right here, and once I have spun however much singles I want to spin, or until my temporary cop gets too messy, I will then butterfly the fiber from the temporary cop onto my hand, and I start by wrapping it around my finger a couple of times, and then I go in and do the butterfly. And I have a video on doing a butterfly, so if you need a refresher on that, go back and check the butterfly video. But so I have my butterfly here, and it's all ready to go. And so then what I do is I find the key to building a good stable cop on a support spindle is not so much the shape of it. I will say that the football shaped cops tend to be a little more stable. I've had less slippage. Hello, Maxie. I've seemed to have less slippage with the football shaped cops once I've started doing those. But if you wanted to lay the singles up against the whorl and build into a ice cream cone shape, you can totally do that too. There's nothing wrong with doing that. And in fact, I will have a portion of this video to show you a football shaped cop and a big football shaped cop and then a big cone shaped cop on two different types of spindles so you can see the difference. But here's what I usually do. So I put it on my belly, just stick it somewhere. And the main thing for you to do is, while your fiber is in a butterfly, keep it nice and tight, because the tighter your cop is, the more stable it's going to be. It compresses the layers beneath it and makes it just stable. Things that are tighter are more stable. So I just go up and down the length of the cup. And how I started this was I did I'll show you up top. I started by holding the singles just like this and wrapping them a couple of times right on top of each other, right here, just like this. And it was sort of like I was winding on a nostopin. And once I had a couple of overlapping layers, then that part was nice and locked in place, and I could then start filling in the length of the cup. And then what I would do is I would go progressively shorter, so back and forth, progressively shorter, to make the football shape. And then once I got to the center of the football, I then wound there for a little bit, and then I started getting bigger. So you still had more fiber here in the middle, and that's why it's poofy here and not over here. So what you do is you just unwind your butterfly very slowly and lay down the singles really close to each other. Now, if you find that your cop isn't as stable as you would like for it to be, like if you have pieces up here that are slipping or pieces down at the bottom that are slipping, here's how you fix that. If up here is slipping, you bring your singles up to the top, wrap it tightly, and bring it straight back down. And go all the way down in a spiral, and then bring it right back up. And bring it tightly just to above where you laid it down before, and spiral right back down. And that spiral is going to wrap the whole cup and make the whole thing more stable, as long as you maintain a good tension. So I actually just found a break in my yarn. So here's what I'm going to do to show you, and this is a bonus tip. If you have a single that has broken, just draft it apart, give it a spin, untwist, draft a little bit more, twist it again, and now it's stuck together and you can continue wrapping. So you zigzag until when you squish on it, it feels pretty stable. Like this really doesn't have any squish because I've been wrapping very tightly the whole time. But I don't know if you can see the zigzags crossing over the whole thing. Once you have some zigzag layers, you can then go back to winding on just in a nice little line. And the way, again, to build up the center is to slowly shorten how far down the cop you wind. So I stopped right here before, now I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to go back up the way I came. And same thing again. So the middle portion of your cop is getting more yarn than the outer edges. And I've come to the end of my temporary cop fiber, the fiber that I butterflied off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause and I'm going to bring in a couple other spindles to show you the cops that I've built up on those. Okay, so here was our original spindle that I showed you, winding on the cop for, and here is its big brother. You can see that all of the winding I did on this one was all straight. I didn't have any slippage because I maintained a very even, constant tension. And it barely has any squish to the center and on the sides. And it's nice and stable. I should be able to ply directly off of this. Once this one grows up to be bigger, it will look just like this one. Then you have this little beauty. This is a spindle from Edith Ashcroft, and I built this one as an ice cream cone. And it was basically the same principle, except for instead of building up more in the middle, I just laid it down beside the whorl. So I did much more fiber on the bottom and gradually built up on here. This one, while a drop spindle, is pretty much the same basic principle. You have the whorl, which is bearing the brunt of the force of the cop. This is an Acreworks mini spindle, and it's the 6.5 inch shaft. And this has 1 1/4 ounces of fiber on it. It is very, very full. I really didn't have any extra room to flick the spindle because I'm a flicker, I don't thigh roll. So I barely had enough room to grab right here, and I didn't have enough room to do a temporary cop anymore. And this one was built pretty much the same way as the other ones. I just went straight up and down. This one, because it was ice cream cone shape, those do tend to have more slippage in this area because it's a steeper slope. So you'll find with this one that you want to do the zigzag wrapping a whole lot more than on the football wrap. The football wrap is much more stable overall, but the ice cream cone shape is very lovely. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the ice cream cone shaped cops. They are perfectly functional, and you just have to be a little bit more careful with the steeper sides because those are going to require a little extra tension and possibly just from here to here, winding in a zigzag all the way up and down the entire thing is probably not a bad idea. But that's it. It's really pretty simple. Just, again, with any kind of spinning thing, you need to practice. You have to really go for it, practice a lot, and, you know, if you need to, practice with commercial yarn, because it can easily be wound off and it's not going to disintegrate on you like a singles can if it doesn't have enough ply twist or initial twist. So that's really it. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave me a message on Ravelry. I'm Mrs. Flick there. You can leave me a comment below. If you liked the video and want to see other videos, please give me a thumbs up, and I would be more than happy to oblige. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye-bye.